My spring booth reset is coming up and I need to finish a few pieces to get into the booth. The first of those being this dresser here. I picked up this dresser and a matching nightstand for $100 from another vendor at the market. It has a bit of damage along the bottom where one of the detail pieces has popped off. There is a broken drawer pull, some scratches in it, and some deeper scratches along the top of it as well. I like the cottage look of the piece, so I really don't want to do too much to it. I think the plan is going to be to sand it all down, do a bit of a beige wash on it to make it look more like a natural raw wood color, and then we will go ahead and throw it into the booth. The first thing I want to do is just go ahead and take all of the drawers out and the drawer pulls off, and I will work on the base. You can see where this piece got knocked off. I think what I'm gonna do is just make a nice line with my jigsaw and cut so that the slope looks intentional between the two sides. I am out of jigsaw blades, so I just used my Sawzall instead. And it's not perfect, but I think we did get a good enough line where I can sand it down and make it smoother. And then I've marked this side off as well so that we can take this down and make it match the other side. It's not perfect, but not bad all things considering. I think once we sand it down and then get our wash on it, you won't really notice. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and wipe this down really well, and then I'm gonna fill in some of these nicks and scrapes with wood filler. I was able to get it all sanded down, so now we're going to go ahead and clean it off again. Got the two pieces from the broken drawer pull, so I'm going to go ahead and glue those back together. It's been a couple days, but I want to go ahead and get the paint on because we're going to be trying to move this in to the antique booth pretty soon. I picked up the color Algonquin from Fusion Mineral Paint so that I could do a beige wash on this piece. So I've got a little container. I'm gonna mix 1 part Algonquin to 2 parts water and then brush it on, let it sit for a couple minutes, and then wipe it off. I am going for a raw kind of antiqued look on this dresser, and over the week while I was working, I actually had someone who's very interested in buying this piece when it's done. So I may already have a buyer when I bring this in tomorrow. Hopefully that's the case. So we want to go ahead and get this done today. Now I didn't bring anything out with me to measure this, so I am just going to eyeball it. Not the best thing to do. Don't do what I do. All right. Whoop, whoop. Looks about good. Now this might actually be 3 parts water to 1 part paint, but that's okay if it is because I would rather do more layers to get the color I'm wanting rather than putting on too much paint. I'm just going to take my paintbrush and do a very light wash on this. Still seems like it's got a lot of paint in it, which is not necessarily a bad thing. All right, so I'm just going to do that small little section. I'm going to let this dry for a second, wipe it off, and then we'll go from there. All right, it's been sitting for just a minute, and you can see that it's like dried down to more of a brown tone than the gray tone that it looks like when it goes on. And I'm just going to go ahead and kind of start wiping it. All right, so I made a little mistake, and I could have just gone on about what I was doing and not shown this, but it is a part of working on furniture and doing new techniques that you end up learning. I did not sand this down enough. I was under the impression that it was wood on the bottom and like a laminate style top. It's not. It's actually a veneer that is real wood. And so I was having the issue where I was sanding down on the edges where I knew it was real wood, and I was getting down to the raw wood underneath the finish. And that's taking the paint wash way more than the pieces where I had not actually sanded it down. So I'm going to have to go back a step, go back to the sanding, actually sand down to the wood finish on every single part of it. Not just do one sanding, but probably 2 or 3 sandings, because I want to make sure that all of the wood grain is sanded at the same grit, and then I can go and put the paint wash on it. Again, learning lessons, things you figure out as you're working on stuff. You can see here what I was talking about, where I had actually sanded down to the wood itself, and it's taking the paint much darker than where I had not sanded all of the finish off. And like I was saying, I thought this top was kind of like a laminate, but the more I looked at the pattern in it, it is real wood, and I can sand it down to this bare finish. So that's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to be real careful because this is a veneer, and I'm going to sand this all the way down, sand the edges all the way down, as well as the sides, so that then I can do the paint wash properly. Now that is looking much better. I still have the sides to do and the bottom, so there's still a whole lot of sanding that needs to be done, but yeah, this is what I should have done in the first place. I got it completely sanded all the way around, and it looks much better now. I still have to do the drawers, but I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break and come back to this in about 30 minutes. I came back in with 220 grit sandpaper, and then also just finished wiping it down and dusting it off to make sure that I got all the particles off, and I think now we are ready to be back at the painting step for this piece. Able to get all of the drawers sanded down, so now I'm gonna go ahead and do the wash on the drawers as well. decided that what I want to do with the drawers is use this matte black spray paint. I've sanded them down like just a scuff sand, and rather than sanding them all the way down to the bare finish and trying to do a wash on them like I did on the drawers, I think this is just going to be faster and easier, and I think it'll give a little bit of contrast and look fairly nice. So we're going to go ahead and give this a try. Well, we were able to get everything moved in, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. I know that I mentioned that we might have a potential buyer. She came in a couple days ago and asked me specifically about dresser. I had showed her some pictures of the dresser while I was working on it, and she said that she thought it would turn out really good and for me to just kind of do what I was planning to do with it. And so I brought it in today, took a couple photos of it, and sent them to her. And she said, we absolutely love it. We want to come in on Monday. Can you put it on hold for us? So like today's Friday, I got it put in. We are open tomorrow, Saturday, but it's already on hold all day tomorrow until Monday, when hopefully they will come in, buy it, and load it all up. I am very happy that it has already sold, but of course comes the problem of now I have to replace it, and that's what I was planning on using for the spring booth reset. So now I have to kind of rethink my furniture pieces, and I feel like I have a whole lot more work to do before I can start moving things in. However, that's what I'm planning on working on this week, so we'll probably try and do a couple more furniture pieces and also start the big reset for spring. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing me work on this. I was a little bit rushed with my filming, trying to get it done in time for the person who was interested in it, so I did skip around a little bit with my filming, but thank you for coming along with the journey, and I can't wait to see you next time.